Dimitri, how are you,
Hello.
young man? So good to see you. So glad you can make some time to join us.
Of course.
Outstanding. Dimitri is finishing his last ESYS class in our program. Dimitri is also Dean, meet Dean Carlson, also signed up to replace Mr. Nabil's position if that should ever come about to be posted. Young man is very qualified, so that's the face that will be associated with a name for that application when it becomes available to us.
Hello, everybody. I made it through the matrix.
Fantastic, Mr. Hallett. So good to see you. Yes, welcome, welcome. And
we all made it.
Linda, so good to see you. Thank you so much for making it. Dr. Mark, so glad to see you as well. Fantastic. We also have Nick Tejero. Yes, Nick.
Hey, Frank.
So good to see you. Thank you for participating. Nick has been a godsend. He's been bringing us all kinds of stuff from the water treatment facility that he works at, all kinds of used equipment, relays and modules and boards and things that would have gone to scrap otherwise, but he brings them in and says, hey, Nabil and Frank, can you put these to use? Said, we sure can. Does a chicken have lips? Yeah. So,
yeah, it was thousands of dollars worth of equipment that we're upgrading. It's an $8 million project, but I mean, excellent components that are just getting upgraded that can still be of use. Otherwise, it's going to go into the trash or recycling.
Well, we're certainly appreciative of the fact that you made it available to us, and we'll certainly put it to good use. So we really appreciate you providing that to us. Looks like we have, oh, go ahead. Was there another comment?
Cool.
Okay.
I was saying no problem, anytime.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much all for participating in the ESYS breakout session. Let's go through and introduce everybody to everybody else. First of all, I'd like to reintroduce our Dean, Don Carlson. Dean Don Carlson is going to be taking our minutes for us, so I really appreciate that in Mr. Nabil's absence. Mr. Nabil, some of you may or may not know, is teaching our Monday night class as an adjunct instructor, and will also be teaching in the summer. So we're very, very happy to see him rise in the ranks. For those of you who have worked with Mr. Nabil as a ESYS lab tech. So we welcome him to the realm of faculty. Also with us, Dr. Mark Martin. Yeah, could you say a little bit about something of your background and what the value, significant value you provide
so
to us?
I'm Mark Martin. I know some of you. I'm a regional director for advanced manufacturing. So I work with all the community colleges around the manufacturing sector and helping them make connections with industry. And it's one of those things is I like to be involved and see how I can help them out. So that's why I'm here today. Thanks.
Big help indeed. Thank you. Thank you so much. Also from industry, we have Linda from Casa Sanchez Foods. We've been very blessed to have had the opportunity to do some field trips out to Casa Sanchez before COVID. And our students were introduced to a real world application of pneumatics and hydraulics and PLC controls in a production facility. Tell us a little bit about your business, Linda.
So we manufacture, we do fresh salsas, and we do chips, tortilla chips at the factory. So again, we have two different sets of equipment, one for the salsas, and we have a high pressure processor machine, HPP, one of the few in California. And we're all learning and how expensive it is to maintain that machine, but and the training involved in, let's see, and then the tortilla chips. We have fryers, ovens, and packaging machines.
When our students go for a field trip, they come away with the scent and the aroma of freshly made tortilla chips all around them. And
samples too.
And samples too.
Samples.
Yes, they're very, very happily received. Fantastic. And that pressure machine that Linda was referring to, several $1 million worth, is a pressure sanitizer. No, that's really not the bad word. It's not
yeah, we don't use preservatives, so that one kills the bacteria at 99.9% with water pressure, cold water pressure.
That is an amazing, amazing machine when we saw that. Also, thank you very much, Linda, for joining us. Also from industry is Subish. Subish Saman comes to us from Skyworks, and Skyworks is a $30 billion international company. They make chips, not tortilla chips. They make integrated circuit chips. And we've been very blessed to have had a relationship with Skyworks for the past year, where they've taken several of our students for internships. And the blessing is this really opens up a pathway for career opportunities for these young people. And most recently, we had, if I may say her name, is that all right, Subish?
Mona?
Yeah, there's Jacqueline. Jacqueline.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yes. Jacqueline interviewed with Skyworks and was given an opportunity to work with them as an intern full-time. We're talking 40 hours a week, starting as soon as she finishes this semester in high school. Jacqueline has been with us as a high school student, just recently turned 18, which is the minimum age in order to qualify for Skyworks internship. And we're so happy for Skyworks and also happy for Jacqueline. Please, Subish, if you could say a little bit more about your company.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Bowman. It's very fantastic. The synergy is working very well. And it's been almost 1+ years now. And we have Ivan from your team and working for Skyworks. He's been doing his intern, and he's continuing to do his intern, even though he wants to go for higher studies. So it's working really very good. And we had an opportunity to come to Chabot College, and we had a visit with your students there. So that was extremely good. And we also plan to have a trip of students come to Skyworks sometime. So probably we can make a plan about it. And as you know, Monas is working on some of the electronic systems that he would like to donate to the college, actually. So those are the activities we are kind of planning. And as you know, we're kind of busy. So Monas is not able to make up for today's session. So, but we'll definitely keep in touch and see what best we can do.
We really appreciate.
Regarding the products, sorry, I forgot to mention about the products. So we do the front-end modules for wireless applications, and that means all your 4G, 5G connectivity that you see from your mobile. So that's the module that we design and manufacture. We have our production facility in Mexicali, more than 8,000 workers there, 8,000 employees, and we have like 5-6 design centers in the US. So it's pretty much R&D in the US and the manufacturing at Mexicali. So we are pretty, majority of customers are all any mobile manufacturer, you name it. So we got the modules in their mobile phones.
That's being very modest. One of the biggest wonderful claims is if you're using a smartphone of any sort, at least 4 or 5 chips in it, whether it's an Android or whether it's an iPhone, are probably made by Skyworks. But their chips not only go in our mobile phones, but they're also found in aerospace industry, military applications, many things well beyond the consumer base. So we're very, very excited about our relationship, and certainly excited to hear about some potential donations that may be coming from them in terms of hardware to improve our students' skill sets in those areas. Thank you so much for participating with us, Subish. Thank you. Also with us, Professor Norberto Ruiz. Professor Ruiz, thank you so much for being here. Professor Ruiz has been the ESYS lead instructor for many years before transitioning to another aspect of our division, and very instrumental in helping us revamp our program to the current curriculum that we have today. So very, very much appreciated that you could participate with us. Tell us a little bit about your connection and interest in ESYS.
I'm a graduate of the Chabot Electronics Technology program. And George, I spent 5.5 years at BART. I don't know you, George, but I worked in train control, Hayward shops, and I worked for computer systems out of Oakland, out of Lake Merritt. Oh, I'm a transit vehicle electronics technician.
trained under
Yeah.
Go through the Industrial Electronics Certificate Program, and I'm working to finish my associates hopefully next
Great,
month.
great. Yeah. So when I saw that BART thing, I lit right up. It was wonderful. And in fact, I'd like to talk with you later on if possible. But I worked at a computer company before coming to Chabot. After getting the AA in electronics, after doing a computer science degree. And so I headed up the electronics program for over 20 years, actually. And then about 15 years ago, I transitioned to the business department. But I retain an interest in industrial controls, robotics, fundamentals of electronics, I think are really important. I know that a lot of manufacturing has gone away, but there's still a lot of electronic systems here that we need in process control, whether it's in process management, water control, those sorts of things. So I maintain a strong interest in seeing the electronics program remain up to date and viable. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much for participating with us, Professor Ruiz. Your time is very, very much appreciated. We have a current student with us and also 3 graduates. So let me introduce our current student who is about to graduate in about 6 weeks from our ESYS program. Dimitri, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Dimitri Wentworth. I'm a Chabot student. I've taken pretty much full ESYS classes. I had to take a year off since COVID happened. But I'm back in the game, and I'm taking a 69 to robotics class, which is a lot of fun, actually. I thought it would be a lot harder, but it's since I've taken the logic control PLC class, it's better. It helps a lot. Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you participating and lending your insights as a current student of the program and seeing things from a different perspective than faculty, than industry people. And that's why we asked you to join us. From our graduate base, George, Victor, and Nick. So Victor, we haven't heard from you yet. So you just say something about your industry, which is very exciting as well.
Good morning, everybody.
Buenos noches.
What can I say? Let me start with the easy part. I am a maintenance manager on a company that process meat for the industry. We're butcher meat, so we do grind room, ground beef. We do specialty cuts, as you can taste them before, and of course seafood as well. So we have a lot of technology applied into packaging and cutting equipment, and that's when I've been using so much the wealth learned and headaches I've been through ESYS to get a little bit more knowledge of what the industry is applying onto it, and of course it's been helping me a lot. And I'm here. I'm willing to take somebody else, and I'm ready to lend a hand.
Victor Montano, we really appreciate your support of the ESYS program, and just keep reminding me privately that you're continually looking for additional classmates to bring into the fold of your company.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. George Hallett, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing for BART.
Okay, hi, BART. So I came with the express desire to get hired at BART. And within the first week of doing ESYS 50, I met some BART employees and focused on that. At that time, 3 years ago, they were getting rid of the ladders program, which was developed for BART specifically. I think something like that should happen again. But I was taking the courses prescribed by BART off their website. I went onto a job posting, did research on my own, quickly decided that Chabot would be the college, and it's close by my house. Within, I think, one semester. So I had prior electronics, military, and at ITT, which Co also helped me many years ago. And so as soon as I got into the electronics basics, ESYS 50, to remind me about those integral basics of electronics, Mr. Coe and I went over the test for BART, and it was very plain and simple. They still need electronics technicians who know component level troubleshooting, schematic reading, and analysis. Within 6 months, I got hired, passed it all, did the interviews, did the practical applications. I've helped other employees, other students test. A couple of them now work for BART, and I'm willing to 100% help others. It is a very tough test. Most don't pass until the second or third time. Then once you get to the test and you go to the application part, it can be difficult because many students haven't actually troubleshot real working devices or systems. And so I've been there for 2.5 years. I left a project, a 1-year project during COVID, to retrofit and upgrade brand new BART trains in Fleet of the Future. I did both HVAC systems, which I didn't know anything about HVAC systems, but I'm an electronics technician, so I have to do it. And the other one was the automatic train control, which actually runs the train, doesn't require a train operator. And we upgraded the entire system on brand new trains, which leads me into the need for the communication-based systems that are the next step in evolution of Bay Area transportation. That's my little quick background. And I have contact with the employee development specialists who are my friends, and also military members who are looking for some specific things that we can go over on what because they know the students coming in from Chabot, and there is some tweaking that needs to be done, which we can discuss.
That's what we're here to discuss, and appreciate your insights when we get to that portion of our agenda. And we also have Nick Tejero, Alameda County Pump and Water, or Power and Water. I forget what the P stands for.
Hey, Frank. It's Alameda County Public Works Association.
Yes.
I'm the pump station supervisor. I started with your program a couple years ago as a stationary engineer, worked my way through, and through luck and being in the right place at the right time, a little bit of preparation via Frank's classes, supervisor position opened up. So I was acting supervisor for over a year now, and this last March, beginning of March, I was became full-time permanent supervisor. We operate, maintain 25 stormwater lift pump stations throughout Alameda County. The one that you can see in my picture behind me is our Eddy Street pump station. That's located right underneath the freeway by the Emeryville, Oakland border on Mandela by IKEA. This services 2,400 acres of West Oakland storm drains, all the way from San Pablo Street to Broadway down to West Oakland. So it's our largest pump station. When fully operational and maximum capacity, it'll pump at about 500,000 gallons a minute of storm water. And so, and everything in between, underpasses, we service a lot of low-lying communities in Fremont, San Leandro, Hayward. And so we keep Alameda County from flooding. We also, my sister department is the bridge department that operates and maintains the 4 drawbridges to Alameda, and then one pedestrian bridge, and then the old rail bridge onto the island. So, it's not a lot of people realize that these jobs exist. I didn't know about it until I started in the county about 6 years ago. So, and what you mentioned, Frank, about some of the other people have mentioned is, the process technology, diagnostics, troubleshooting, there's a gap that really needs to be filled that I had a shortcoming of, which I went to take your programs to alleviate. But there's a lot of people that we need some tweaking to the program. And so I think I've got some ideas, as many of you do too. So glad to be here.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for being with us, Nick, for your time, as well as your periodic contributions of leftover parts. So
I hate to see valuable items go to waste. And I know, my father was a instructor at James Logan for 30 plus years, and I know how hard it is to get materials and consumables. Budgeting's tough, and especially with electronics and components being so pricey that, and it's really critical to have industry relevant or period relevant equipment and things to teach with. So when students are fully prepared when they go in the field, they've seen and touched and worked with items in the classroom that are actually being used in the field.
Yeah, we appreciate those parts, and we have PLC class coming up in the fall. So a lot of those parts that would have gone to the dump or recycling are very much going to be incorporated in our students' projects for the semester. Well, thank you all for being with us this evening. As you can hear from the round of experiences that each of you bring to this particular meeting, one of the things that, with two major categories that I put in our projected goals for improving ESYS this coming year, and you can certainly chime in where your sentiments are with respect to each of these, and in addition to each of these. First of all is the enhancement of our mechanical knowledge for our students. Specifically electromechanical maintenance, electromechanical operation, electromechanical servicing needs. Focusing on the electronics has really been the core part of our curriculum for quite a long time. But I feel that with as many of you who are graduates in industry, this is one area that needs some additional bolstering, if you will. The other major area that we're going to need to enhance our program with and be competitive for the job marketplace is to enhance our wireless communications knowledge so that our students can be competitive in areas for communication systems for the major cellular companies and their support industries, as well as chip making. So why don't we start first with the electromechanical. I broke that down into mechanical systems, specifically where our students have not been introduced to hand and power tools of a mechanical nature, where our students have not been introduced yet to the concept of shafts and bearings and couplings, V-belts, chain gear, drive systems, where our students have not been, except for our motor control class, some aspect of brakes, but no training in the area of clutches and cams and gear reduction and things of that sort. So for mechanical systems, I think that is certainly one area that hopefully those of you who work in industry related to these skills will find that these enhancements would be relevant. In addition to that, in that arena, I would like to see emphasis with respect to training our students in the pneumatic and hydraulic systems, where they learn how to deal with pressure and flow and pressure and hydraulic, pneumatic and hydraulic control systems, pneumatic and hydraulic speed control, as well as troubleshooting. So to that portion of our discussion, would any of you like to chime in with your sentiments on this being one area of one focal point of our enhancing of the program? George or Victor or
Yeah, George again. So I work with train cars, Legacy, which is the older ones from the 60s, right? So 60s technology included a lot of the basic electronics. But the systems that are involved are the HVAC systems. You have pneumatic systems, which controls the leveling of the vehicle as passenger weight, so that when it comes into a platform, it doesn't teeter or totter or hurt somebody, right? You have hydraulic systems, which is for the brake system. You have friction brakes also. They use gigantic discs and calipers. We have the electric motor system or propulsion systems, which is where the ET stuff comes in. That's where the electronics come into play. When you have a propulsion problem, it's an IGBT, power control. You've got shorts. You've got maybe some systems in the electronics. But propulsion is only one that the ET, as a rounded ET, it'll take you 2 to 3 years to learn all these systems. In the list that you have here, shafts, couplers, and bearings, electronics tech or a technician doesn't have to know how to fix it, but you have to understand how it works to see how the failure will show up on a diagnostic test, laptop, computer. The fleet of the future has a lot more software oriented and troubleshooting built into the individual systems. We each have their own network and computer system, but understanding how it works, how it can fail. And if you've never done your own brakes on your car, never wrenched 3/4 inch drive, our electromechanical stuff, it's huge. We have some of our parts I have to remove with a 1/2 inch impact wrench, 7/8 inch socket, because it's just, they're massive. So it's a little deceptive when you go into the industrial side. I'm not doing component level this big. My resistors are this big. They're huge. They're gigantic fuses. So that was a little deceptive on my part going into a transit vehicle. But I can see it also as being a part of, for instance, Tesla coming up, electric vehicles, very similar. Pressure flow, hydraulic control methods, everything that we do in the fleet of the future now, 100% PLC control, electronic control, software programs. But you still have to be able to remove the item without hurting yourself or hurting someone else. I definitely like that change of drive and the clutch system and cams, because it's a big car. It's just a big car. And I think in the industry-wide too, you think about all these other machinery, they're using hydraulics, they're using pneumatics to control how the arm's gonna move, lever, rotate. I think this is a great addition to it, because it'll round about those who have never dealt with fixing their own car. That's how I can think of it. I've fixed my own car since I was 15. Some have never done that come out of college.
I'd like to touch on that too. We, as you can see, the station behind me, the Eddy Street Station, was built in '53. So it's 70 years old. And we're integrating a brand new, it's been in operation since last January, a brand new SCADA and PLC system. So you've got the integration of 21st century technology with, 19th century, 1950s, 1960s mechanical technology, and that integration between the two poses a unique skill set demand that you have to understand, like George was saying, mechanically. These engines are about they probably weigh about 40,000 pounds each. They're tugboat marine engines. And so they're massive. And so we've got gear reduction drives, I've got conveyor systems, pneumatic, hydraulic. These engines actually start with compressed air. So we have air compressors, all kinds of piping. So you got to understand plumbing, you got to understand all the necessary skills to support the infrastructure that supply these systems. Our department is we don't have specific plumbers, electricians, mechanics. We're they kind of grouped us up as stationary engineers, but we're electricians. We do electrical work. We're not electricians. We do engine work. We do plumbing, facilities maintenance. So being able to diagnose and integrate new technology with old technology is vital And one of the things I saw, is shafts, bearings, couplings. We're looking to integrate new monitoring systems and maximize the capability of our SCADA system with vibration control or monitoring and alerts for these shafts and bearings and rotating mechanical equipment. So preventative to help us perform preventative maintenance versus reactive maintenance. And so instrumentation, diagnosis, installation, maintenance, calibration, those well-rounded skills are vital for us. So having the well-rounded kind of jack of all trades is our ideal candidate or somebody that I would hire. And I found that, there's a lot of mechanics, a lot of plumbers, but having somebody that has electrical controls on top of all of that with automation, since that's where everything's going, is very difficult. And your program with the PLCs and automation is a godsend to have that something so locally, Frank. So improving on that in any way we can with integrating industrial component to it, I think is very vital.
Really appreciate
Oh,
your, yes, please,
I'm
Linda.
sorry, Greg. I was going to say that Nick is right. The mechanics we have are jack of all trades. They really aren't. Some of them have a little bit more electrical background, and which is very, very helpful. But they do need to be in either plumbing, HVAC, some welding, some even facilities. Sometimes we need them for just to upgrade some of the facilities a little bit work, but it's mostly jack of all trades type of thing. And the troubleshooting is crucial. If not knowing how to start when something goes wrong, wastes a lot of time.
So says the lady has got to keep the tortilla chips running and the salsa flowing. So yeah, we need good troubleshooters there for sure.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo is coming up.
That's right. That's right. Victor, you're also in industry, and please give us some of your insights.
I would say my personal point of view, hands-on training, because like the rest of the guy says, like you can prepare somebody to be excellent on books, on textbook, on tests, but it won't apply until you're on the field or doing it or with your own hands. And I agree. Hands-on training or X amount of hours in the field, hands-on, it will be greatly on everybody's background.
So, Victor, excellent point to add to that. The hands-on is so important. We purchased a machine that's being built currently. Of course, it's 1 year delay because of the supply chain issue, but we are going to be sending to Florida our operators, even our operators, to get hands-on training on the machine, because it's not just video training. And then we're going to send our mechanics out there to Florida to get training before we get the machine back installed on our site. But all of our machine, the equipment that we purchased, the high pressure processing machine too, we had hands-on training for our operators and our mechanics. And I think that's the other thing Mark brought up, the fact that we are training internally, hiring, promoting within from operators, or they start at entry level and then they move up to operators, and now we're making the mechanics and learning from that, having that apprentice program that really would work, and maybe a train the trainer type of thing. Or if you have a Saturday where our guys can go in there for some specific general training and entice them to take the classes. That you get them a taste of what they could learn if they were in class. Because it is a challenge to ask someone who's working 8 hours or sometimes 10 to 12 hours, depending on the need. Oh, by the way, can you go to school too, please? But if they get a sense of what that would be, like an initial class to just give them a feel for this is what a maintenance, some of the skill level, and then even train the trainer that we can train our operators so they get enticed to become mechanics. Anything like that. And we are willing to be guinea pigs for some programs like that. If you want, I'll volunteer as a sentence.
God bless you, Linda. we really appreciate your verve and vigor in the support of our students so very much. that the hands-on training leads us into this other area that we've been very blessed with, and that is the internship, where our students get trained hands-on with mega $1 million equipment, and Subish and Mones at Skyworks have been instrumental in that. And I feel that with some of the questions that I know are likely to be asked of our students, and let me just say this, Subish, none of our students who have ever met or interviewed with you have ever violated their non-disclosure agreement. And so I'm just gleaning from what I'm thinking that the industry may need, your industry may need further of our students. And so I put down in the wireless communications area the emphasis in improving our skills in signal analysis, frequency modulation, amplitude modulation, transmitter, transceiver units, transmission lines, antenna, wave propagation, microwave communication systems, data communication, GPS, which we use every day on our cell phones. Every time we lock on the Waze to take us from here to the supermarket, that's all GPS. So in these areas, we've been able to, since the last time we met a year ago, Subish's and Mones's recommendation in the area of enhancing some of these skills, we've been able to be very blessed with really good fiscal management of college funds, where our department was able to acquire 11 new spectrum analyzers for our students. We've been able to acquire brand new waveform generators, but we need to advance that further. So Subish, what aspects of this do you see that we can further our skill sets for our students in this area?
Yeah, well, one thing I think one is the right person to talk about the electronic system basically, but from my opinion, we definitely don't find the right candidate to take care of the maintenance or the setups or the calibration of the equipment. So that's one of the key challenges we have. And if at all we want to have a service or maintenance to be done, we need to have someone fly from somewhere from the East Coast or Texas, and the equipment will be down for over a week. And it costs like 6 to 10K for a maintenance support every time we have any kind of a situation there. So those kind of difficulties we have, that's something we can try to address. And the equipment, I think we may need to have some the latest or the greatest ones that we can always try to use, which helps with the latest technology for the industry, right? When that's where we thought of trying to work with the college to see how we can help with those equipment. Okay, so this maintenance, the image I show in the background, it's only like the 4x5 mm package size for what we are talking about. And the component you see, it is like 0.2 by 0.1 mm and 0.2 mm thickness. So these are all the minute, very high precision equipment that we use to build these package types. So the maintenance or the skill set needed to support this equipment are very minimal. So it by itself, so any visit to the industry or hands-on by itself will give a great exposure to the students on what this precision looks like. Now, how important, what is this PCB technology? I'm talking about a PCB of 0.275 thickness. Okay, so it's very small because that's how your product can go into a mobile application, right? So it's not the PCB what we see normally. The one we built for the mobile, it is one of the greatest technologies we have. So the equipment that do or manufacture the product has its own precision and mechanical details. So yeah, those are my inputs. Yeah, thank you.
If I recall from your visit with Mones a week ago to our labs, you mentioned that your San Jose facility is a microcosm of what you have in Mexicali. In Mexicali, you have thousands of employees and hundreds of these manufacturing stations throughout that facility. But back to San Jose, as it being a smaller version of several hundred people, that do you have clean room facility there in San Jose where the etching and photolithography and all of that is done?
So to clarify on that, so we don't have a fab. It is not a fab, basically. It is a prototype assembly line.
That's it.
So we call it as an IC packaging. So, or a packaging, basically. So IC packaging. So we do the back end of it. The lithography and all those equipments relate to the fab where we manufacture the wafers or the IC chip, right? So this is a packaging technology. So what you see behind me is the one is a chip. That's the design. That's the front end fab manufacturer. So what we do in San Jose is we design, make the design, and we manufacture the wafer elsewhere, and we get the wafer back, and we assemble the complete module for the functionality here. So if you look at the wire bonded units here, the wires we use are all like 0.8 mil gold wire. So the machine is capable of bonding that kind of precision bonding without any defect. So when I mentioned that we have the entire line used for the assembly, so multiple equipment for each process. Whereas the Mexicali site might have thousands of equipment for each process. So that's a difference. And we don't have a clean room here, but our military site have a clean room for that.
Well, IC packaging is enough to keep our students very, very busy and interested in
Absolutely.
Yes, plenty of things to do there for sure. Thank you for your input there. Dimitri, as a soon to be graduate of the ESYS program, and hearing the different things that you have so far, from an immediate student's perspective, where do you see the areas that our program can be further improved upon?
Jeez. That's a hard question. I mean, it seems great right now. I would say fiber, like fiber optics, fiber cables, because, you know, networking, a lot of people are going into fiber. Also, that's a great job to go into. They make a lot of money. IoT, I would say, would expand on that too, because a lot of wireless stuff. Since you already said you're getting a spectrum analyzer, I've worked with those before for a lot of theaters, since I had to do a good sweep of the area before I could program the receivers, so it doesn't interfere with other noise for concerts and stuff. And I believe you have a like dedicated logic analyzers, do you?
Not as such, but that's another area we need to expand upon.
Okay. And of course, network analyzers
Yes.
was one I was going to go say. And tools, I've seen a lot of like not a lot of electrician tools, and a lot of them have insulated tools. Since we're working with electronics, I would assume we don't want metal going into a PCB board kind of thing. So I thought it'd be insulation tools would be something you might invest in as well. And that's all I can think of at the moment. Everything else seems pretty solid.
Well, thank you for your insights. Fiber optics is certainly another area I've been trying to pursue. I have my own fusion splicers and OTDRs for measuring signal strength and stuff. So we can easily incorporate that with a little more reinforcement of some additional pieces of hardware, and that could be incorporated in our 54 class. easily.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Dr. Mark, any further insights that you can lend to, say, the skill set of our students that can be enhanced?
Well, one of the things I want to just lay out, because I think you know this, I think most people here know this, but it helps me to think about there's kind of two different areas when you start to talk about electronics technicians, because there's the analysis side of things. When I was an engineer working on radar systems in the 80s and 90s, I mean, you're doing op amps and diodes and surface acoustic wave devices and all this sort of stuff that you have people more on the kind of design side helping the engineers design and troubleshoot and build. And those are true, kind of full-on electronic technicians where they're doing digital, they're doing analyzers, they have the oscilloscopes going, and there's that side of things. And then there's a kind of another type of electronic technician, but it's really almost more of an industrial maintenance. And that's what I'm hearing. I mean, Linda, they're not getting in there with an oscilloscope and troubleshooting a board, right? They're looking at their conveyor line goes down, their packaging system goes down because their sensor, they got to reprogram the PLC, maybe a hydraulic or pneumatic system goes. They need to understand the electrics, the electrical, and maybe a little electronics. So they need to know if it's that capacitive sensor or what type of sensor it is. So there's that sort of stuff. But then there's the stuff that maybe Subish is working on with their technicians. They're helping their engineers, again, where they're doing digital analysis. They might be using oscopes and DLAs and things like that. And then you have, but the electronics, so you got to kind of understand which one we're shooting for and how do you cover both, because you don't necessarily want to have somebody that's going to go into industrial maintenance be spending 6 or 9 units on electronic analysis where they're using the oscilloscope. Now they may not know what they want to do, so we have to kind of balance what do we have another certificate there that adds on these pumps, hydraulics, pneumatics, mechanical systems, and kind of have an industrial maintenance certificate combined with your PLCs and stuff. And maybe you make it all one, and so people have a choice. But you gotta weigh that about how many hours, how many units they're taking, or do you kind of have a separation where they do some of the basics and then they split off one way or another? So that's the thing to consider, and that's the thing that I've learned in looking at across different industrial maintenance and electronics programs, is to clarify that and then to help you figure out, you offer both, because I think you could do that more, that industrial maintenance stuff, which was what you mentioned about talking about the more mechanical stuff, without, maybe even pulling some stuff from existing classes, either Chabot or maybe even, working with other colleges who have low enrollment, right? Hey, what if you take an extra class on pumps and hydraulics and pneumatics at Laney? You fill their classes, you take people in your electronics class, they take a couple extra programs, and it really helps them get these types of more industrial maintenance jobs.
Yeah, I think that's excellent. Mark, one other thing that I was thinking of too when you were talking about that is instrumentation technologist certification. Do we, if there's are there any local colleges that offer a credentialed instrumentation technologist program?
Well, like Los Medanos has a really, quite an in-depth instrumentation as part of their electronics. They work with like Shell and others on instrumentation.
Right, and so that's one of the big things that is some projects that are my goals for our department is adding advanced instrumentation and monitoring. So having somebody that is familiar with instrumentation, installation, calibration, troubleshooting, all different types of sensors. I know a lot of water treatment process technology plants are using precision sensors and monitoring devices. They all need calibration. And so having somebody that's got the mechanical experience as well as the electronical experience to blend the two, I think that's ideally for me in our field is the ideal middle ground. And because that's where we're going with, more monitoring, automation. I know Zone 7 Water in Livermore, East Bay Mud, they offer instrument technician positions. They pay very well. I believe instrument tech position at Zone 7 pays, I think the top salary at $62 an hour plus full benefits. So they can be very well-paying jobs, and I think they're in high demand. And so that kind of that programs like that, I think would be a big asset to expand upon.
Fantastic. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. So we actually have gone a little bit longer than was scheduled, but I wanted to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to voice an opinion, chime in the various areas of how we can further improve our ESYS program. Before we close, are there any additional comments, remarks that any of you would like to share? Certainly, we don't want to leave any opinions and suggestions off the table.
Yeah, let me chime in for a moment.
Please, Professor Ruiz.
I really like the idea of augmenting Chabot's program with coursework at other colleges, because I think it'll really extend what we can deliver to our students. We always have to worry about enrollment and utilizing our own resources as best we can. Having said that, electronics is a very broad field. It used to be you either R&D, you're some sort of repair or industrial controls, but we can offer only so many courses. And I really think it would be beneficial to all of the colleges in the region, maybe to work collectively to be able to develop strong programs, but in potentially different areas of electronics. One could be instrumentation, one could be industrial controls, etc. So I think that's something that probably should be explored, is reaching out to other community colleges and seeing how the community colleges of the Bay Area Consortium can work together to support in electronics related industries, which are very broad themselves. That's my comment.
Good. Any other comments, please?
I have a question. Let's see,
Please.
Victor, what company are you from? I just wanted to get that.
I was thinking the same thing right now. We are part of Cisco with a Y.
Oh, yes.
The company is Cisco Specialty Meat Group, and subname is Newport Meat.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
Newport Meat.
Oh, Newport, like Newport Beach.
Uh-huh.
Newport Meat. Okay, great.
Uh-huh. We're in Fremont.
So I do want to, to Norberto's comment, I really think this is an important thing to look at, is that we can, if nothing else, send your students to say, take this class at Laney, and we send, Laney students and, theirs to go there, because again, we're under enrolled, they're shutting down classes because they don't have, 25. But also longer term is to think about adding a certificate. There's some egos to be soothed about, now, Chabot has an industrial maintenance certificate using, Laney classes, but we would have to work together to figure that out. But right now, I don't see a problem with that. I think that you would have your students in electronics that might be willing or interested in taking a couple more classes, or maybe 3 classes, and getting that at Laney to get maybe this additional certificate on top of your normal certificate. So I really think something, and that's what my role is, to see how we can try to make something like that happen. So let's discuss that further. Okay.
Yeah, Mark, and I would be really interested in working with you, and I think the faculty would be to, I've worked in other parts of the country, particularly Minnesota, and working in small community colleges, but within a system, and we start sharing.
Yeah.
Where we kind of needed to. Some programs that allow you to do more online, that certainly that helped with. And then, but an example was really here, early childhood education program in 2 small community colleges. They were 45 minutes apart, but just within studies, but we were able to save those 2 programs by being able to do the sharing that we needed. They both had strengths that we needed, and it was on campus. They started with conference training of people. So this is like you add on a specialty certificate, you take a couple of extra courses of training or Los Medanos or wherever that would be. That would be. I think that's something that we could really look at, and I think that those would be things that would excite. I think some of the leadership in the PACC.
I think so, especially with the demand. I mean,
Yeah.
from industry, it's just we got to make sure we get the skill sets.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk offline about that, because I'd be curious to see who would be the partners in it, and maybe at some point we just pull together a broader advisory committee meeting or something like that, and hear what the needs are, and then pilot something or whatever. So.
I did want to pitch, just make another statement about the small businesses, food industry. We are competing against the tech industry for maintenance mechanics, and I think you guys keep throwing that how much money they can make. But I want to throw in our pitch where we are entry level, and what we offer, the food industry will offer you a lot of experience training, a lot of training for anybody that joins the company, and then you can move on after 2 or 3 or 4 years, or decide to stay with us as you're growing. But we've been to the fairs, the job fairs, and we are completely overlooked because everybody runs to the tech companies because they know that they are going to pay a lot more money. But again, if there's a way of somehow introducing the food manufacturers, because there's quite a bit of us around in the area too, and but we are competing against biotech and the other tech companies, and just say what we offer good training programs for them. But
Linda, and I know we've talked about this before, and I know you said it's hard to get some of your folks to imagine going to school after they've worked, but that's the way that I see this has to go for a lot of companies, even some of the tech companies, is to find people that are willing to do that for the expected increase in pay. Because they know how good of workers they are, them, they know you. And so we're trying to encourage that more. So
true, Mark. And then we also had the discussion about interns. I forgot who the other company that we were talking with the other day. And we're hesitant about interns because we know that they're not going to stay with us at all. So we're going to give them 2 months or 3 months project. And some of them won't even stay the 3 months because they're going beyond. For us, it would be hiring an employee. We will train you. Your level is, your basic training, but we will train you. We're going to train you in a mix of things. Not going to be one area, but at least it'll give you an idea where you want to head. We've done this with our quality assurance people. We hire kids out of college because they have no experience and they won't be hired in a bigger company. But we have found that they stay with us for about 2 or 3 years or 4, and some have stayed longer, 10 years. But the other ones, and they have found their path. They worked on several projects with us, learned quite a bit, and are grateful and thankful and still keep in touch, but they've moved on to other paths. And I think this is the same thing here. We could be training ground, but you are right, Mark, that our people, I need to encourage them even more because we do offer more pay if you go to school and they're still not doing it. But it is kind of a training ground, and they move up to the next level, and then they'll end up at Skyworks 5 years. But again, you're creating a path of training for the community in the area so that we can continue to grow as an industry and attract more industry.
Linda, thank you very much for reminding us of our smaller industries that are in need of the same type of talent and more entry-level talent. I think our goal as educators, my goal as an educator, is to, as much as possible, positively impact the lives of our students so we can make life changes, help them make life changes that can improve the livelihood of their families and help them create opportunities for themselves where they can comfortably sustain a family in the San Francisco Bay Area. And to this end, I really, really appreciate all of your feedback for this year's advisory. It's been a wealth of information. poor Dean Carlson is feverishly going to be transcribing this in the minutes. I've got a tool to help you with that, sir. But before we
I've got
part
one more
company,
thing for
yes,
you.
please. I don't want to leave any opinions left unspoken.
One, I'm not sure if I'm the only veteran here, but I'm retired from a combination of the Marine Corps and the Air Force, where I went to satellite, wideband, and telemetry systems school, electronic school for the Navy, electronic school for the Marine Corps, electronic school for the Air Force. And that's one untapped resource. I don't know. I am a member. I registered at Chabot at the Veterans Resource. We should bring in a rep from them. There's an untapped resource. BART and city servants, state love military. They give them credit. They get points off or bonus points when they test, and they get preferred. And the level of, I can't say for everyone, but I would say there's an expected level of quality, service, timeliness, general, yes, sir, I'll do the job, and if I can't, I'll let you know. It's a good quality, and that might be an untapped resource for Linda also.
George, thank you so much. We've tried that. We're also working with reentry. We're working with the streets, the community street people. We're working with disabled community, and I still can't get candidates.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Chabot can bring one of their reps to the next big meeting that Don's talking about. Tap into a resource. I know we had vets in our class, Mr. Coe.
That's right.
I still network with all of them right now. To this day, I still know every single one of them. I call them at least once a week or once a month.
Well, and maybe if nothing else, we also have the veterans office people on our campus coming to these meetings too in the future too.
Absolutely.
So we're building those relationships. We've been building them, I know, for our public safety programs also, and trying to figure out those needs and everything.
Public safety also.
Yeah, because that's a huge career link also. It is an important tap resource. And we have a RISE program on campus, which is for incarcerated students also, which actually works with placing students. I think even in this program, I think we've had some students, let alone throughout college in this division. So
I won't be ashamed to say, but I'm part of the RISE program also.
Well, and I'm proud of it because I've worked with those programs in other schools. And or worked with incarcerated populations. I've even years ago taught a business class to
some of us make some very poor decisions, and we have to, deal with it.
Well, and that's what we're here for, is that we help people find a career path. That's the important thing, and get to an income path, and so there's a recipients and everything. That's the important thing. So, and anyway, Frank, is there anything else? Or
Is anybody else have any remaining comments for our fantastic advisory board meeting this evening? Well, fantastic. I really, really appreciate all of your input. Everything will be taken into consideration as we draft our potential curriculum changes, course modifications to bring in some of these elements into existing courses without changing the entire curriculum. But certainly I would love to explore enhancing the curriculum with another certificate, specifically in the area of industrial maintenance, as has been brought up several times during the course of this evening. So again, I thank you all so very much for your time, very much appreciated. And until we meet again, we will look forward to seeing each of you in Discord and email and all other forms of communication. God bless you all. I thank you again for your time, everybody.
Thank you.
So
Have a good night.
Have a great evening. Thank you again. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Frank.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Cohen, let me know what I can do, because I keep in contact with the employee development specialists at BART that do electronics.
Yes.
One of the things that he said was during the practical application portion, a lot of the students under a 5-minute time limit couldn't perform.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big critical. 5 stations, 5 minutes each.
Yes.
And different sets of tests.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tough. Jason went through it, Karima went through it, a couple of the people that we know went through it, and that was a test, that was a hard portion of it
Mm-hmm.
that kind of put their knowledge and experience to the test, and it put a time crunch. So
Wow.
reading quickly theory of operation, quickly reading schematics,
Mm-hmm.
and then fix it with minimal amount of time and tools and just component replacement.
Mm-hmm.
So how we can integrate that might be in a class to like part of a testing or at the end of a course to pass it or get a grade, run through maybe a set of troubleshooting circuitry or something
Yes,
like
yes,
that.
yes. Yeah. With the stopwatch.
With a stopwatch. And
Yes.
plane's gonna crash.
Yes, yeah, and you know, bonus points for the least amount of time.
I mean, really, because that's that time crunch, that's what's critical.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's how BART really weeds out. You can have an ace tester on a computer, but fall under the pressure of troubleshooting,
Mm-hmm.
or the lack of an inexperience will slow you down to where you can't get anything going.
Right.
That's one thing that I was told directly from the EDSs at BART.
Yes.
That is what they've experienced during the last 3 months of testing, is that practical application. Because when you put the time on, it tells them whether you know or not.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing
Yes.
you can do. There's no book to read. You can't use your resources. You know it, or you don't.
Yay. Well,
So,
let's continue this dialogue, George.
yeah, we can do this offline. I can go meet with you or talk.
Well, where we can set up specific scenarios
Sure.
in class, and there are several
Absolutely.
courses that we can do this with, where we can break from the regular curriculum and say, okay, we focused on these. Now we're going to have a contest. Now we're going to have, and make it a fun thing where students want to compete and where they want to perform, where they want to show off that they can do these things, you know. And
So, we did the PLC program, and we could do, each team builds something, has a approved schematic and theory of operation, and then we switch and they introduce a fault.
Mm-hmm.
And each team now has a time to troubleshoot someone else's system.
Yes, that's very, very good point. Very well taken. I appreciate your insights again, my friend. And I really appreciate you making the time to join us.
Hey, you were a great help to me. You helped me get that test, and you helped me. You were part of the story at BART. I appreciate it.
Well, again, thank you. And God bless you and your family. Hope everyone's
Absolutely.
doing well.
Yours also. We'll stay in touch. Let me know how it can help.
Will do. You can count on it.
And you can invite me to any of these. I'd love to be a part and, contribute also.
Well, you certainly have contributed this evening, and we'll make sure that your name is included in future advisory boards as you see how this evolves over the course of this year into next year.
That'd be great. I love it.
All right. Okay, my friend.
Right.
You take
Right,
care.
sure. Right.
Adios to you.
Recording in progress.